All right, guys, so here we are going over the next section, which covers intercepts and zeros. So we're going to just take a look at this first problem here. It says, solve the equation by finding the zero. And so this one is not too tough, but it does require you to remember some vocab, which is the word zero. So a zero is the place where a graph crosses the x-axis. So in other words, the zero is the x-intercept. So you will have to know that. There is a question just like this on the test. So if we're finding the zero, or the x-intercept, the way we solve this is we let y equal 0 and we solve for x. So in order to do this, we actually can just plug it straight in here. The y is by itself, but it's on the right, but it doesn't matter. So I'm going to just rewrite everything as is, but I'm plugging in 0 for y, and I'm going to solve. So I'm going to add 20, and I'm going to divide by 5. So I get x equals 4, and that is the x-intercept. So if we had a graph, my graph would cross right here, and it would be some sort of line, either going up or down. So x equals 4, that is the 0. Moving on. Which equation is written in slope-intercept form and has a slope of 5 and a y-intercept of 5? So I want an equation in slope-intercept form with a slope of 5. Remember, slope is m, and a y-intercept of 5, which is b. So if I plug that into y equals mx plus b, I would have y equals negative 5x plus 5. So which one looks like that? It looks like it is A. These ones are wrong because they're not even in slope-intercept form, so don't even bother solving those. All right, next page. Okay, it says, which equation describes the function represented by the table? So if we're given a table of values, just remember a table is a set of multiple points. So I actually have 4 points here. The point negative 2, comma 9, the point negative 1, comma 2, 2, comma negative 19, and 3, comma negative 26. So if I'm asking you for a linear equation, then you don't have to check to see if it has a constant rate of change. You can just take my word for it, and you can use any 2 points that you want, and you can plug them into the slope formula. So to write an equation, we need 1 to find the slope. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the slope formula. So I'm going to do y2 minus y1, so 2 minus 9, and then I'm going to do x2 minus x1. So I'm going to do negative 1 minus negative 2. 2 minus 9 is negative 7 on top, and then negative 1 minus negative, that's like negative 1 plus 2, which gives me a positive, positive 1 on bottom, which this equals just negative 7. So my slope is 7. 2. In order to put to write an equation, I need a slope and an intercept. So I'm actually going to back up and change color here. Okay, so now that I have my slope, I have 4 different points. I need to solve for my intercept. So first I could look and see, is there anywhere where x equals 0? And no, I don't see, but it's got to happen somewhere in here. So I'm guessing my y-intercept is somewhere between 2 and negative 19, which is actually a really wide range. So I'm going to use one of these points to solve for my intercept. So I'm going to plug them into y equals mx plus b, and I'll be solving for b. So I'm going to use this point right here, because 1 and 2 are pretty easy to work with. So I'm going to do 2 equals negative 7 times negative 1 plus b. So 2 equals 7 plus b. Those negatives cancel, and then I subtract 7 from both sides. I get negative 5 equals b. So now that I have m and I have b, I'm going to plug those in. Y equals negative 7x minus 5. And which one of these matches? Well, looks like C is the answer. All right, the next one is the same situation. I have a table, and it says the table shows a relationship between x and y values. Which equation best describes the relationship between x and y? So I'm really going to follow the same steps. I'm going to pick a couple points. I'll pick these two. First, I'm going to find the slope. y2 minus y1 is 4 minus 3. x2 minus x1 is 4 minus 2. I get 1 over 2 as my slope. Next, I'm going to find b. I'm going to plug in x, y, and m into this equation to solve for b. So I'm going to go ahead and use this point right here. So I get 3 equals m, which is 1/2, times x, which is 2, plus b. These 2's cancel. I get 3 equals 1 plus b, minus 1 from both sides, and I get 2 equals b. I can plug those in. Y equals m, which is 1/2, x plus b. And all right, I don't see one that matches, so I'm going to go check and see if I made a mistake. 4 minus 3 is 1. 4 minus 2 is 2, so that is 1/2. Oh, I see. This printed funny. So this 12 here, I think it was really supposed to be a 1 over 2. Whoops. So let's go with C. But that really is a typo, and there's an error there, so it should be 1/2 x plus 2. Okay, next question. Find the equation of a line through 4, -2 with a slope of 3. So I'm giving you a slope and a point. So similar to what we did up here, I need to, in order to put an equation in the form y equals mx plus b, I need m and I need b. So I gave you m, and I gave you x and y, but I didn't give you b, so we need to find that by plugging in m, x, and y. So that's what I'll do. I'll do -2 equals m, which is -3, times 4 plus b. So I get -2 equals -12 plus b. Add 12 to both sides, and I get 10 equals b. So now that I have m and b, I can plug them in. Y equals mx plus b. And I look for the one that matches. I'm looking for -3x plus 10, which is C. Okay. Moving on to the next page. More practice with writing equations. This is a pretty important skill, so we'll do quite a few of these. All right. So find the equation of line through 2, 4 with a slope of 0. Okay, whenever you see a slope of 0 or an undefined slope, you've got to remember hoi vux. So if I have a slope of 0, that means my line is horizontal, looks like this, and the equation is y equals. So I can actually skip a bunch of work and write y equals. I can check over here to see what y equals. Y equals 4. So there's my answer, y equals 4. The equation, this line, if you were to look at it on a graph, would look like this. At y equals 4, you would have a line like this. That's what it would look like. So the answer is y equals 4. 30, find the equation of a line that passes through the points -1, 1, and 2, 3. So I'm giving you 2 points. You do not have, if we're trying to put these in, y equals mx plus b, you don't have m and you don't have b. So we've got to find both and plug them in. So to find m, I'm going to use the slope formula. I gave you 2 points, so you're going to do y2 minus y1, 3 minus 1 on top, divided by 2 minus -1. 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 minus -1 is like 2 plus 1, so it's 3. So my slope is 2/3. Step 2 will be to find b. So I'm going to pick a point. I'll use this one right here. So I'm going to plug this in for x and y. 1 equals m times x plus b. 1 equals 2/3. Sorry, 2/3 times -1 is -2/3 plus b. If I want to move this, it's a -2/3, so I'm going to add 2/3 to both sides. These cancel, and I'm left with b equals. You could plug this in a calculator, but 2/3 plus 1. This 1 I can put it as 3/3. 3/3 plus 2/3 is 5/3. So if you are not strong on adding fractions, I recommend you use a calculator there. Now that I have m and b, I can plug them in. Y equals mx plus b. And which answer matches? I'm looking for 2/3 x plus 5/3. That would be A. All right. Find the equation of a line that passes through these 2 points. So we're going to do the exact same thing we just did. This is just more practice. First, slope. y2 minus y1. 9 minus -3 divided by 7 minus 2. 9 minus -3 is like 9 plus 3, which is 12. 7 minus 2 is 5. 12 over 5 actually cannot simplify. So my next step is to find the y-intercept. I'm going to use y equals mx plus b. I'm going to solve for b, and I'll pick a point. I'll use this one for x and y. So -3 equals 12 over 5 times 2 plus b. -3 equals, I need to multiply this. So 2 times 12 is 24 over 5 plus b. I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to subtract that 24 over 5. I'll just rewrite this so I can show my work. This is a positive 24 over 5, so I need to subtract it. Oops. And I have -3 minus 24 over 5. These are both negative, so my answer will definitely be negative, and I'm basically just going to add these numbers together. 3 plus 24 over 5. I'm going to have to do this by hand because I don't really have a calculator with me. So -3, actually, let's think. To get a denominator of 5, I need to multiply 3 by 5. So I'd get 15 over 5 minus 24 over 5. I'm going to get 39, -39 over 5. So -39 over 5 equals b. There we go. So I solved for m, I solved for b. If I plug those in, I'm going to get y equals 12 over 5 x minus 39 over 5. So that looks like it matches A. Just making sure. Yes. All right, A is correct. Okay, next one here is asking me to write this equation in slope-intercept form. So slope-intercept form is just y equals mx plus b, basically just getting the y by itself. So that's all I want to do here. The y is almost by itself. I just need to move this 1. So I am left with y equals -2x, -3 minus 1 is -4, which is b. And honestly, you could just know that just by looking at the options because none of these other ones are in slope-intercept form. B is the only one even written in slope-intercept form. Okay, 33. Which set of linear equations are parallel? Okay, for parallel lines, you have to know that parallel lines have the same slope. So I need to look through and see if any of these have the same slope. So I've got to do a little bit of work here because I can't really tell what the slope is if they're not in slope-intercept form, and they're not all in slope-intercept form. So this first one, the y is almost by itself. I just need to move the 11 by subtracting it onto this side. So I'm going to save some room and just kind of cross it off like that. Notice I didn't just pick up and move this 11. I actually subtracted it, I'll show you, to the other side. So this slope is 2. And then this one, I would do minus 11 first, but then I would end up dividing everything by 2. And so I would actually get 1 here. So these do not have the same slope because this has a slope of 2 and this has a slope of 1. Okay, the next one, trying to get this in slope-intercept form, y equals, this one has a slope of 1. It's already in slope-intercept. This one, I would divide everything by 7. So I'm going to get a slope of 4/7. Those are obviously not the same. This one, I would add 4, and divide by 2, divide everything by 2. So I would end up with 6 divided by 2. So my slope would be 3. And this one also has a slope of 3. So C looks like it's correct. And then I can quickly check this last one. They are both in slope-intercept. I have a slope of 5 and -5. Those are not the same. So the answer is actually C. All right, the next page. Okay, 34 says, find the slope-intercept form of an equation for the line that passes through -1, 2, and it's parallel to this line. So slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. It's giving me a point, and it's telling me that it's parallel, meaning the slope is going to be the same as this line. So first thing I want to do is figure out what the slope is. Well, if it's the same as this line, it's y equals mx plus b, the slope must be 2. So that was pretty easy. You just have to remember that. Now that I have my slope and I also have a point, I can plug those in to find b. So I'm going to plug in 2 equals 2 times -1 plus b. 2 equals -2 plus b. I add this to both sides, and I get b equals, this is 4. So I have m, I have b, plug those in. Y equals 2x plus 4, which is A. Okay, number 35. Find the slope-intercept form of an equation of a line perpendicular to the graph of x minus 3y equals 5 and passing through the point 0, 6. Perpendicular means if the slope is perpendicular, then it's going to be the opposite sign, and it's going to be a reciprocal. So we're going to flip the sign and flip the fraction. So it's step 1 is always to find the slope. I did not give you the slope, but I did give you a line and told you that the slope was perpendicular. So I need to put this in slope-intercept form so I know what the slope is. So this is x minus 3y equals 5. I'm going to subtract the x. So I get -3y equals -x plus 5. And I'm going to divide everything by -3. So I'm left with y equals, be careful here, -1 divided by -3. That's going to give me a positive 1/3 x. And then over here I have 5 divided by -3. That's going to be a -5/3. So this is the equation of this line. And so I can see that the slope of this line is 1/3. Now I don't want the slope of this line. I'm looking for a slope that's perpendicular. So I'm going to use this symbol, which is the symbol that means perpendicular. Slope is going to be opposite sign. This is positive 1/3. So my slope is going to be negative. This is 1/3, so mine is going to be 3/1, which is the same thing as just -3. This is my slope that I'm going to use from here on out. So in step 2, when I'm solving for b, that's the slope I'm going to use. Except I'm going to pause for a moment and notice that the point that was given to me, x is 0, so this actually is my y-intercept. My b is 6. Because the definition of a y-intercept, it's where x equals 0. So you could have gone ahead and solved, plugged in x, y, and m, and you would have gotten 6. But I'm just going to notice that and say that b equals 6. Now I can plug these things in. So my perpendicular line is going to be y equals -3x plus 6. And that is b. All right, 36. The equation 3s plus 7m equals 105 represents the number of bags of sand and bags of mulch that can be bought with $105. If no bags of sand are bought, how many bags of mulch can be bought with $105? So giving me the equation, and they're asking me to solve. They're giving me a value and asking me to solve. So I'm going to drop this down here and think through how to solve this. So, number of bags of sand. So, this is sand, and this is mulch, okay? And it's saying if no bags of sand are bought, no bags means that S for sand is going to equal 0. So I'm going to let S equal 0 right here. So I'm going to do 3 times 0 plus 7m equals 105. And I'm going to see what m equals. That's what I'm solving for here. So 3 times 0 is 0. So I have 7m equals 105. When I divide both sides by 7, I get m equals, let's plug this in, m equals 15. So that means I can buy 15 bags of mulch, which is C. All right, number 37. Which equation has a graph that is a vertical line? You've got to remember, Hoy, Vux. H is horizontal. 0, slope, y equals. V, sorry, that doesn't look like V, is vertical line, undefined slope, and x equals. So these are the equations of horizontal and vertical lines. If I'm looking for a vertical line, it's going to have the equation x equals whatever x equals. So I'm looking for an equation that is x equals. So I have 2x equals y. That doesn't seem to be right. Actually, there's a y there, so that can't be right. 3x minus 2 equals 0. This does only have an x. It doesn't look like x equals, but there's no y there, so I want to come back to that one. Y plus 5, this one has a y, so it can't be right. And x minus y, it has both. So 3x minus 2 equals 0. This one doesn't have a y in it, and it doesn't look like x equals, but let's see if we could get it to look like x equals. So if I added 2 to both sides, I get 3x equals 2, and if I divide by 3, well, now I have an equation that looks like x equals. And what this would look like on a graph, since x equals is a vertical line, it would be at 2/3, so if this is 1 and 2, 2/3 would be right about here, and it would be a vertical line like this. So B is the correct answer. Okay, next page. We're getting close. This one says, a group of friends are studying linear equations for their math class. They consider the equation shown. The equation is y equals 3x plus 4. It's already in the form y equals mx plus b, which is nice. It says, each friend makes a statement regarding the solution of this linear equation. Which friend is correct? So I'm going to read through each comment and kind of check and see who would be right. Amanda says that there's only one solution, 1,7. Okay, and it looks like pretty much everyone is making comments about the solutions. So let's quick think about what we're dealing with here. If we have y equals mx plus b, this is a line. And so a line, and I could kind of sketch really quickly what this would look like. If b is 4 and m is 3, it means I'm 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my starting point. Slope up 3 over 1. Looks like this, and down 1, 2, 3 over 1, and down 2, 3 over 1. It really roughly looks like this. Okay, so it's going up, passes through the y-axis at 4. So what this line means is that any dot on this line is a solution. So is there only one solution? No, there's tons of solutions. Any dot on that line is a solution. So Baraz says there are exactly 5 solutions. Well, that's also false because there's infinite solutions. Any dot on this line is a solution, so that cannot be right. Consuelo says there are an infinite number of solutions, all points that lie on the graph of the line. This seems to be true because that is what a line is. It's a set of solutions, any point on the line. But I want to check D. It says Darius says there are an infinite number of solutions, all points on the coordinate plane. This is not true. There are an infinite number of solutions. That's true. But he's saying that any point, anywhere, is a solution, and that's not true. Only points that are on the line, like Consuelo said, are solutions. So C is correct. Okay, 39. Tickets to see a movie cost $5 for children and $8 for adults. The equation 5x plus 8y equals 80 represents the number of children, x, and adults, y, who can see the movie with $80. If no adults see the movie, how many children can see the movie with $80? So, interesting situation. The kids are going to the movie by themselves. But we're going to use this equation right here. 5x plus 8y equals 80. And if x and y are the number of children, 80 is dollars. And it tells us, like, this is $5, this is $8, this is $80. And x is the number of children. So you're going to multiply the cost of the child's ticket times however many children go. And you're going to multiply the cost of the adult ticket times however many adults that go. Well, it's saying no adults, so we're going to let y equal 0, because that's what no adults means. No y, which is the number of adults, is going to be 0. So I'm going to plug that in. 5x plus 8 times 0 equals 80. 8 times 0 is 0, so I just cancel it. I get 5x equals 80. When I divide both sides by 5, I get x equals, and I should get, I think, 16. Yes, x equals 16. So that is the number of children who can go see this movie unattended. 16. Okay. Now, this final section is inequality, so I'm going to take a break here, and I will post this last section in a separate video, part 4.